rate that performance? Tell me what you thought of Liverpool's game there.
I thought it was a very frustrating performance. Didn't do enough at the top end, even though they had enough chances. And they were really vulnerable at the back, which I haven't seen for a while. Anything that went into the penalty area, they looked as if they were going to concede. And I think Ibu Konate had a night that he should quickly forget, really, because he looked in 6s and 7s at a lot of time of the evening. Yeah.
Joe, what did you think of it overall? Was it a difficult game for Liverpool, or actually do you give Galatasaray credit?
I'll give Galatasaray massive credit. They were on it to the very end. I think they deserved the win tonight. You know, Liverpool, I don't think Liverpool will be too concerned about the away leg, but I think on a 90-95 minute performance, there are a few bad ones out there and something they want to get out of their system quickly.
Well, let's go back to seeing the only goal in that game, and this was Lemina's goal, his first Champions League goal, Maka.
Yeah, again, Osimhen at the far post just heads it back into a danger area. You know, nobody really picking up the big number 9. As I said, Konate's just standing there on his own. I'm not necessarily blaming him because he's marking an area, but you have to appreciate who the danger man is, and it's Osimhen. And then Kerkez and Ekitike not doing enough to influence Lemina at all.
Joe, this is the disallowed goal for Galatasaray with Osimhen offside. Konate's quite lucky here.
Yeah, he is. It's not a good moment. Like I say, he had some really difficult moments tonight. It wasn't one of his best performances. I think it's Yilmaz who's offside, and as he makes that direct approach to the ball there, I know he's not involved in it, and the two guys that are directly involved are not offside. But yeah, I think Konate will be absolutely delighted to look up and see that flag up.
This is where perhaps he's been unlucky, Maka?
Yeah, and I think Liverpool should have been awarded the goal, Laura, to be honest, because if we all slow it down, which we will do now, you see Konate goes up, it brushes his hands onto Davinson Sanchez's head, as you can clearly see, but the ball then hits the goalkeeper and is going away from goal. You'll see it, and it actually hits Virgil van side and then it spins into the net. So actually, accidentally brushing off Konate's hand, it doesn't go directly into the goal. It probably should have stood. Saying that, I don't think Liverpool actually deserved a draw because they need to liven up. At Anfield, they have to be infinitely much better than they were tonight. They will be, because the crowd will go crazy. It wasn't good enough tonight.
OK, guys, getting a little bit low.
Liverpool away from home, but it was a game of playing on people's mistakes tonight for both teams. They were making mistakes, Liverpool was making mistakes. Liverpool could have 3 goals in the first 5 minutes. Galatasaray should have had some more goals as well. It was just a strange performance for a Champions League game, that.
Any positives for Liverpool besides the Anfield factor in the second leg? Well, anything from tonight, do you think?
I think the biggest positive is again the back four. You mentioned Sanchez now misses the second game. Don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because I think they give up so many opportunities. Not clear-cut opportunities. I think Ekitike is probably the biggest chance of the game, and the goalkeeper makes a brilliant save in a 1v1 situation. But again, Nicky's right. There's so many mistakes from both teams. You know, sloppy passes into midfield. You know, bubbling stuff. And this is the Champions League last 16. You know, the standard was poor from both teams really. But I really do think at home next week they can't be that poor. Liverpool in the home leg at Anfield. European nights are very, very special, and I think they'll have enough to go through.
Keep saying it though. Keep saying it that Liverpool this season can't be as poor as this next week.
Pretty special here as well. Galatasaray in front of their own fans. They've got the kids out and everything. They seem to feel pretty good about themselves. A few of the players were really clenching the fists the full time. They're backing themselves, Kenny.
No, I'll give these a bit of credit. They actually surprised me in terms of the quality of their attack and play. Not just talk about Osimhen, we all knew how good he was, but off the flanks, Yilmaz and Noah Yang in particular, Lang, they really positive in terms of everything they did. Put good quality crosses into the box, and that front three from Galatasaray far more effective than the Liverpool front three over the course of 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think that what you're looking at here, you're looking at the respect of Liverpool's football club, the history of that football club, and I think that's why they're celebrating so much. I don't think they're celebrating thinking they're going through by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a great result for them. It's a big scalp.
A big scalp, only one leg so far, but well deserved from Galatasaray's point of view. You could see Arne and some of the Liverpool players giving out to the referee, but Galatasaray could have a few qualms about their goal being disallowed. So you wouldn't be pinning this on the ref, would you?
Probably after the break, but I think the officials got both decisions just right. I mean, we think on the first one, on Galatasaray's goal, we think Yilmaz is given an offside because he sort of tracks across Robertson perhaps and blocks off his line of clearance. Perhaps, we don't know. We'll have a look after the break. And again, we do think that it's come off Konate's arm for the Liverpool goal that was disallowed. So I don't think Arne Slot and his team can have too many complaints.
No, chaotic kind of a night in the end. Only one goal scored. It felt like there were a lot more on the table for both teams out there. But in the end, Victor Osimhen, we said, would be the danger man for Galatasaray in a moment. 1-0 to Galatasaray. Not a great game in terms of quality, as the lads are saying, but a lot of chances and excitement and a bit madcap, you'd have to say. So we can go back to the only goal of the game, believe it or not, Nicky. That was the Lemina one in the first half. Poor defensively from Liverpool.
Yeah, we spoke about it at half-time. I think defensively it's not great from the way they mark from zonal, with McAllister having to pick up their biggest guy, header back across, and a brave header from the guy who's put the ball in net. It was ridiculous for me, the way they marked the zonal thing with McAllister there. He's not got no kind of defensive knowledge in him, and he's the smartest man on the pitch.
So are you blaming, as Kenny did at half-time, Arne Slot more than any of the individuals? This is the system and they're just going by the blueprint?
I wonder what Arne Slot's doing there, to be fair, but McAllister has got to be a bit stronger, but he's not got that in him. It's like saying to me, go and take 7 people and go and score a goal. You just can't do it. You're not getting your locker.
I think Van Dijk's got to be stronger. I'm not talking about necessarily on the pitch. I think in the dressing room and the lead up to that game, and to say to his Slot, no, we're going to change it. There's going to be a change. I'm going to go and mark. Trust me. Let me go and do a job on Osimhen. Trust me on this. A man of my experience. And I think Slot, if you're hearing that from your captain and leader, I think you accept it, because I think that was the change that they needed to do tonight, and I would have stopped that goal.
How many goals do you see conceded from the zonal setup? There's so many teams set up zonally, and we were talking about it before. It's everyone just passes on the responsibility. If us three are standing in the zone and the guy scores in the middle of us, he's blaming me. I'm looking at him. It's not my fault. It's not my man. Somebody has to take responsibility on the pitch.
Because I don't think any pundit has ever been in the studio and said, I love zonal.
There is a reason for it. Your man marking, you lose your balance, somebody gets away from you, it's kind of your man, you know what I mean? It's kind of black and white. But if you're marking zones, no matter where somebody arrives in the box, you should have somebody in that area to go and deal with it. There's no area left unoccupied.
So that's
the kind of advantage of the zonal, yeah. But there is kind of drawbacks to it. Players getting a run and jump. I don't know how, it doesn't matter how good Van Dijk or Konate is. If somebody 6'3" gets a 5-yard run and jump and arrives into that area, the penalty box, it's going to be hard to stop.
There's an argument for both, isn't there? You can go on for 10 years, this argument about zonal, but the big thing for me is whoever's been the blocker has to have some sort of defensive bone in his body. McAllister doesn't. So straight away, forget about the zonal, forget about man marking. The blocker has to be a physical defender that can go and block someone of a reasonable size. And he's not that man. It's bizarre.
You want to see that grappling. A lot of teams do.
Just somebody in there. Somebody there's got some physical presence about him and some defensive knowledge about him to block that person that's coming in. Because, like Kenny said, you're not going to beat him in the air, but you've got to block him and get against him.
But then again, it has to be an amazing header from Osimhen to score from there. So again, I mentioned at half time, Van Dijk's watching the ball go over his head, and then he watches Osimhen head it. And the guy he was with, Lemina, is peeled off the back of him and has a header from 2 yards. So sometimes not as the first contact, and I agree with Buddy, McAllister's not a defensive-minded player to deal with that. But then the second ball as well got to be dealt with too.
You got to marry them both. You can predominantly do zonal, but you can earmark one of the opposition players, recognise how good of a header the football he is, and get your best, not necessarily your best header, but like Nicky said, your best marker who understands how to mark. Not necessarily go and win the header, but certainly prevent the opposition player from getting a free header.
It was good by Osimhen though, wasn't he? He gets up high, bit of hang time.
He did one in the first half as well, when he could have scored a goal at the back post against Van Dijk. He's got some leap on him.
He thought he did have a goal in the second half. Galatasaray thought they had a goal disallowed for offside. Shay, what we're looking out for here is if Yilmaz in the build-up is clearly attempting to play the ball, which he's probably not, or making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of an opponent to play the ball. The opponent being Andy Robertson.
Well, thankfully for Konate, the night he had, it just was a mess. Look, I think Yilmaz is offside here, but you watch where the ball ends up. It comes across to Konate more than anything. Robertson's never getting that ball. Then he makes another mistake, Konate, and then he just gets his feet all muddled up at the end of it. And for me, I think they're very, very lucky to get away with that.
If that's a foul, the game's becoming non-contact. Because that's a nothing.
No, but I think the linesman's give it for offside.
It's just because he's definitely offside, so it's whether or not he's making that obvious action, whether or not he's impacting the ability of Andy Robertson to play the ball.
But if Andy Robertson still wants to get past him, he can get past him.
But I don't think Andy Robertson can clear the ball. I think it's going to cross the Konate's space to clear the ball, and he makes a mistake then.
If he'd been smarter there, Yilmaz, and assessed the situation quicker, he should have stayed away from Robertson. If he'd have stayed away from Robertson and made no contact with him, Robertson, the lads are right, isn't getting back.
I'm sure Robertson's not getting there. I know
he's not. He's not getting, even if he doesn't make that's the mistake that he's made, getting that left arm out and making contact with Robertson. That's why the decision's been given. But he's not getting back regardless, and it's a horrendous mistake.
Oh my God,
from Konate. So lucky.
Bad by Konate, and even that second one he could have cleared, Nicky.
No, he's one of those. The lads had a nightmare all night, to be fair, and that just summed it up, and he got away with murders with that one.
Yeah, so we're all saying that Liverpool are lucky with that one, yeah?
I think very lucky, yeah.
The Liverpool disallowed goal, then they took a long time to look at this, Kenny. We'll take a little time to look at it as well. It's been disallowed for handball, and we're looking out for here is...
Put my glasses on.
Basically, who puts this ball in the net? Is it a Liverpool player? If so, they've scored directly, and even if it's accidental, then the goal is disallowed.
Yeah, the goalkeeper's right buttock is involved here as well, I think, at some point. We feel the initial contact has come from Konaté's right arm. But for me, having looked at it about like 28 times...
There's another one though, just see at the end,
it's that last contact for me, looks as if it hits Van Dijk's left elbow.
But you think it was Van Dijk's
I think it's Van Dijk's final touch with his left elbow. It doesn't touch it there. I think the contact initially is Konaté. The ball drops down. For me, the final touch comes from Van Dijk's left elbow, which directs it into the goal.
I'm just looking at Konaté's right arm behind Van Dijk's elbow here.
What are you looking at?
I think it's definitely nearly even a double handball. I think it hits both. I think it hits Konaté initially, and then it sort of flicks off Van Dijk's arm after that. I think they got the right decision. It was very tricky for VAR, and it's interesting that the referee didn't go over to the monitor we see in the Premier League. He's let the VAR make that decision and go, that's a handball, disallow the goal.
What are you saying on that one?
Pass.
Couldn't be bothered with the handball.
It was a melee, wasn't it? You just got to go by the letter of the law there, and I think the referee has done that, and in that case it's not.
Does that sum up Liverpool's night, that was the closest they got to scoring a goal, that they weren't really creating much? They did have chances, to be fair, and we'll see a few of those later on, but even those, a lot of them are coming from mistakes by Galatasaray and that the sort of end-to-end nature of the first half. They weren't really fluid.
No real pattern to their play, in general play, in terms of opening up, a little bit of combination play. Didn't see any real natural width. I'm always looked at the Liverpool team in terms of shape and structure. I don't really see it too loose. I always hear about rotation in the modern game, people interchanging position. There could be too much of it at times.
These are the chances they did have.
Yeah, these are the chances they did have. This is
That's good stuff there, to be fair.
This is probably their best bit of football. Shay said McAllister could have taken this on first time. Technically, he's probably good enough. It wasn't a great ball to Wirtz, so that wasn't an easy finish. But yeah, when you're showing a hopeful punt from Konaté off the crossbar, you're struggling a little bit in terms of chances for Liverpool. This start of the second half was decent, but this is 25-30 yards out. A shot from this. In terms
he has that in his locker though, doesn't he? Obviously.
Yeah, long throw-ins into the box, kind of corner kicks. But I'm talking general play in terms of working little patterns of play on. Very little of that all during the game. Again, hopeful punt from Szoboszlai at the edge of the box.
This is the chance, Kenny.
This is the big chance. And this is what I say. This lad's done well. Don't get me wrong. He scored a number of goals, Owen. But in this instance, for me, he's not a killer. He's not on the level of Isaac. For me, in that position, scores that goal. He didn't, and they didn't have too many of them on the night.
I think away from home as well, you're not going to have many chances. And obviously it's a knockout stage of the Champions League. Again, can he head that down into the ground? But that 1v1 situation, it's a brilliant save from Kakir, the goalkeeper. Fantastic save from him. But again, Kenny's right. Clinical in that position. You're not going to get many chances away from home in the Champions League. He has to be more clinical. He has to take that chance, in my opinion.
Yeah, Ekitike, not a killer. Was it Kenny that said that? Would you agree with that?
In comparison to Isaac,
I think he's a top player. I mean, Kenny had done a really good piece before the game about him, and for France as well, he plays off that left side more. And I think if you look at Arne Slot's summer, we talk about the recruitment, the amount of money he spent, and I think they spent that for him to be on the left, Isak down the middle, and I think he's more suited for that left-hand side position. And he's right. I think if Isak's in that 1v1 position, I think he scores.
A lot of questions for Arne Slot to answer. We mentioned it's his 100th game. Yep. Nicky, if he'd won tonight, he would have gone past Kenny Dalglish's record for the first 100. As it is, he's tied with the great man, which is no mean feat. But this season, it's never really got going, has it? Even when they've picked up a few results here.
No, it's been a strange one, hasn't it? It's gone from there to down here. You can understand drop off a little bit, but they've gone such a distance from where they was last year, and you can guarantee the manager will be doing exactly the same things he was doing last year. They're training the same, the times were off the same, the recovery was the same, the diet will be the same. So he's got to be scratching his head wondering what's going on. For me tonight, the big thing for me tonight was the experience on that football pitch in European games and international games for Liverpool. They never tried to control that game once. They were rushing everything, like not taking the extra touch, not taking the extra pass, going down one side, coming back out and going on the other side. There was no flow to the game. There was no tempo to the pace of the game. They never slowed it down, speeded it up. It was like very much like you said, basketball game. It was one pace that way, one pace that way. Which is funny
because Slot's been criticising this season for trying to have too much control and trying to calm
tonight away from home in a European tie, and it's a difficult place to play like that. You have have got to take the extra pass. You've got to control the game as much as you can. You've got to basically kill the game, bore people to death, and then try and hit goal.
You do a bit of both. That's how you mix game. You can quicken the tempo for 5 to 10 minutes, and that's where you take the game. I didn't think they couldn't quicken the game and get those quality passes, those little combinations that they were looking for. The better quality for me came from Galatasaray down the sides in terms of combination. Liverpool for me were so unbalanced and lacking in invention and quality in forward areas of the pitch, and that's where Slot has to find the solutions going forward.
Maybe he was happy with 1-0 tonight, like maybe thought, because as I'm looking at the bench, like Salah had a quiet night, he got taken off, Frimpong came on, and he every time he got 1v1 with against the fullback, he just knocked it back. I think he'd do something different. The star man in the last few weeks for Liverpool has been Ria Ngamoa, and we didn't even see him tonight. I mean, Virts came off, we brought Gakpo on. Why not give Rio 15 minutes to actually maybe try and get a goal?
Fans are saying that
Because he's very... After 70 minutes, I don't even know it, but Van Dijk was doing that to his keeper all the time, slowed down. They were happy with it. But the way that game went and the chances that they had, they just wanted to calm it down and leave it and go back with 1-0.
Well, as we were saying, Galatasaray had plenty of chances. We'll have a look at those after the break. In the end, it's 1-0.
Coach, can we say the second match in here, Istanbul, is a bad déjà vu?
Is a?
Bad déjà vu.
Bad déjà vu. Yeah. There were a lot of similarities between 3 months ago and now. We've had multiple chances to score. After 10-15 minutes, you expect us to lead, and then their first attack leads to a set-piece goal. Last time was a penalty, now it was a set-piece goal. And another goal disallowed from us, so a lot of similarities too.
What about your thoughts in the last match in Anfield? What about your thoughts?
What my thoughts are? You play over 2 games against each other, and now it's half-time, they're 1-0 up. We can do better, I'm 100% sure about that, but even with the game we've played, we had enough chances to score goals. We didn't, but next week we play at Anfield, and our fans will be so supportive for us, because I think that was today the situation for Galatasaray. They had great support from their fans. It was difficult for us to play in, difficult for another person on the pitch to manage the game. So let's hope we can create the same atmosphere next week at Anfield.
Okay, thank you. Good luck in the next round.
He doesn't look too happy, does he? The supporters are worth a mention there, because Galatasaray fans created a big atmosphere tonight. They won't be around next week, Shay. There were some incidents at the Juventus match, so that's another one in the debit column for Galatasaray. Their away supporters are banned, and they've also got a few personnel issues with Sanchez.
Yeah, it's a shame, for the away fans. Obviously, it's, as I said before, Anfield's a special place in European night, so it's a shame for them. It showed tonight how supportive they were, but I think Arne Slot's getting the message across to the home fans for next week. We will need you.
And I think he's also getting the message across that he thinks that they might have influenced the referee, but we don't necessarily think so.
I don't think so. I mean, we talk about a cauldron out there, we talk about a difficult place to go, but I think in general, I think we're right. The referee, I think, just so we got it right.
Galatasaray had the better of the chances, would you say, over the 90?
I think so. I think Arne Slot's maybe trying to pencil over it a bit, or paint over it a bit, saying we had multiple chances. They had a few chances, Liverpool, but again, they'll look back as the head of the body talked about before, Osimhen in the first half. They had some really good chances. They really had. This time's very good save from Maradashvili. He has to let that go past. Kenny thinks not so, but again, he gets enough on it to get it by the post. They can be very tricky. He can react a bit late and find the back of the net, but it's a really good save. Again, that's
for the camera, Shay, that one.
No, that was a really good save. I would disagree with you, and I think he's set in a good position. It's a really good header from Sanchez, and again, they had some shots second half as well. We talked about the disallowed goal. They had big opportunities, and I think if they had got a second goal, they state the absolute obvious. They've got a great chance of going through. This is a shot from Sarah towards the end. We thought this was in the studio, but just off the side netting. I think they needed that second goal. I really do. That would have given them a real hope. I still think Liverpool next week will be too much for them.
You don't think so? You're not sure that they are going to
I'm not sure. No. I'm not sure at all watching this Liverpool team. And I've some sympathy for Slot this season in terms of certain things outside his control, in terms of significant drop-off in terms of performance levels. Some of his senior players, Konate early this season, Van Dijk, Salah, we all know about. A couple of injuries as well, Isaac in particular, so he's had to manage all that. But in terms of the players that are available to him and have been available to him the last 6 to 8 weeks, for me, he's not picking the best team.
Well, interesting on that, because you two disagreed pre-match. You like Florian Wirtz out on the left-hand side. You prefer to see him more centrally. You were saying, Kenny, he was on the left tonight, albeit dropping into the middle at times as well. How do you think he got on?
Yeah, real mixed bag. And I suppose, to a certain extent, me and Nick are saying the same thing. he's at his most effective in that kind of number 10 position. It's just how he gets there. I'd like him to start there because I think he's a natural number 10 in terms of playing on the half turn, linking things up, particularly the midfield and forward areas of the pitch. Very good in tight areas where he has to improve his finishing. I'll say that. Strikes me as somebody a little bit casual with his finishing. Doesn't really hurt him if he doesn't score. You know, one of them, not really a kind of goal scorer, but he needs to do better. He needs to demand more of himself in those situations. I thought his work rate was good. Just a little bit too sloppy. That's too easy. He has to protect the ball there. But a lot of the time when we're talking about him, he's played left wing tonight, left of the front three, but you wouldn't have known that because invariably he ends up in that number 10 position. And when he does that, Liverpool have very little outlet down the left hand side. Oh, and that's what I'm talking about. I have a lot of sympathy for Kerkez because when Liverpool switched the play over to Kerkez, naturally you'd look to your winger to play a pass. There's nobody there. He's holding hands with Szoboszlai in that kind of central area of the pitch. So that's the unbalance that I'm talking about. And then you're talking about, okay, there's no avenue down the left hand side. Well, let's work down. Let's give it to Mo. Well, forget about giving it to Mo because he's not beating anybody in 1v1 situations either. So this is what I'm talking about. He needs to find a solution. Now he's been handicapped to a certain extent, players available to him, but Ngamo, Shay mentioned, and just think out of the box a little bit. Ekitike can be what about swapping him and Gapco, throwing Gapco down the middle, Ekitike off the left hand side or off the flank. He's got to get a little bit more creative in terms of his selection.
You mentioned Mo there, Kenny. I'm going to recuse you from this conversation because we've had about 20, 30 Mo Salah chats.
Caesar said and done that.
You can leave early, you can clock off early if you want there. Ineffective enough. He was breaking the record today, Carragher's record for Champions League appearances for Liverpool. But is there much positive to say about Mo Salah at the moment?
No, unfortunately, because he's a player that I've loved watching over the years, but that can only take you so long. He's not doing anything right for Liverpool at the minute. I think he's struggling big time. I think he's given the manager a real problem because he's such a superstar and what he's done.
But he can't drop him again. You saw what happened last time. He dropped him.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one for him. But the manager will have to do something sooner or later. He can't keep this up. And for me to sit here and have a pop at someone like Mo Salah, who's been phenomenal for the Premier League, for Liverpool, but he's just not doing anything for that football team right at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, is it tricky though? We saw what happened last time he dropped him. He didn't look too happy coming off tonight. Nobody's going to be, but it didn't throw any sort of strop. But of course, he's not happy coming off, not starting key games like in the Premier League against Spurs at the weekend. Can Slot actually? Will Liverpool fans maybe accept it a little bit more, or will Mo Salah even accept it?
It's difficult. I don't think Mo will. We'll see Mo's reaction before. He is a superstar. He is. But again, it's about current form, and tonight he had an off night, and that's the biggest problem Arne Slot's going to have. You know, how long does he not give Rio a chance to come on and start in that right wing position, for example, or change around the front three? But no one's undroppable. This is Liverpool Football Club. You know, they'll be no players bigger than the football club. That's
they're
the key.
not, but you can see the absolute storm that erupted.
You can't say you're not going to drop them because of the reaction the last time.
You shouldn't, but it's got to be. But if you're the manager, it's got to be in there somewhere. Like, it's easier to drop some players. I'm sure you've all been in dressing rooms with players maybe who won't kick up a fuss, and maybe they get dropped a little bit easier than Mo Salah, who will definitely kick up a fuss.
His job in itself is under pressure as well. Arne Slot, his job is to get results, and his job is to pick the best team, whoever that team is going to be. If that's with Mo or without Mo, he needs to make that big decision.
Yeah. I'll say one thing.
I thought he was finished.
And I'm not going to be critical of Mo Salah. I'll be critical of the Liverpool hierarchy and Arne Slot. They had a window of opportunity when Salah threw that hissy fit in November to get him out of the football club. They had a 3-month opportunity, him going to AFCON, to get him out, get massive money in and go and get a replacement. Antoine Semenyo is the one I'm talking about. We spoke about it on Prem Saturday in November. Would Liverpool, from a footballing point of view, be in a better position now going to the second half of the season with Antoine Semenyo on that pitch now, looking at the impact he's had at Manchester City rather than Mo Salah? And not only that, you'd have more money in the bank with the wages that you said. Yes, that was a big decision to be made, but they're the big decisions that managers make, the big, bold, brave decisions that really resonate around the dressing room.
Yeah, and what you would say about Slot is that there's a lot of talk, if they don't get into the Champions League next season, he's going to be gone anyway. You'd like to think he'll go out his way and he'll make those big decisions over the rest of the season rather than going out with a whimper potentially?
Yeah, he should do. I'd like to think so. He comes across as a guy that backs himself, and he done a great job last season for Liverpool, winning the league. And yeah, the noises are coming out that he's not going to be there next year. But so if I'm a manager of a football club, I would like to say I want to die on my own sword. I want to make sure that I do it my way. I want to make sure I make the right choices. However, I agree with Kenny on this. It's like the manager can only do so much. If you're being told by the board and the people above you that this man is going to get a contract, he's signing for what he's done in the past for this football club, it's very, very, very difficult to go against him originally. But now, I think any true Liverpool fan would take the heart away from it and just use the brains and look at Mo Salah over the last few performances and say he's got to get dropped.
Well, they're playing Spurs on Sunday. We'll see what happens there. Tottenham are playing Atletico at the moment, so who knows? They might have a new manager. If Harry Redknapp has won the Gold Cup by next Sunday, he could well be in charge at that stage. Thanks to Nicky, to Shay and to Kenny. Thank you so much for watching. It was nice being on for the early kick-off. Enjoy the rest of the football. Take care.